Tierra Partridge along with the Channel 5 Action News Team crew.
And we're coming to you live from Channel 5!
We now have breaking news from Brian Cunningham.
Europeans have come to the Americas to find gold, but none was found. Instead, they found many resources such as tobacco, indigo, rice, rum, and grains, which were sent back to Europe. The Europeans then went to Africa to capture Africans and send them over to the Americas. They traveled through the Middle Passage to transport the Africans to America to work by picking tobacco and other resources. This process is called the transatlantic trade. The transatlantic trade made it possible for colonies to expand. The transatlantic trade was between three continents, which were Europe, Africa, and the Americas. Most Europeans competed for resources by dominating trade with wealth for Europeans would go up. This is known as mercantilism. In order to dominate the trade, you had to do three things: acquire and maintain wealth, export more than import, and acquire colonies to provide resources needed by the motherland. During this time, Great Britain is the most dominant country. Some goods were only for England, with land it equals power. Back to you, Tierra, in the studio.
Thank you, Brian. Now, during this time, the transatlantic trading system included three continents: Europe, Africa, and the Americas. Europe traded guns and rum with Africa, so Africa gave them slaves and other goods, and the colonists in America sent raw material and tobacco to Europe. From Africa to the Americas, slaves were being traded on this passage called the Middle Passage. It wasn't a real passage. It was the middle leg of the triangular trade. The slaves were packed in boats like bundles of firewood. About every 2 to 10 slaves died during the passage. This was repeated for decades. When the Africans came over, they tried to make this experience the best they could. The slave communities were rich with music, dance, basket weaving, and pottery making. Different slaves came from different parts of Africa and different tribes, so it was very many different languages spoken. Now we have news about Ben Franklin.
So now let's talk about this Ben Franklin guy. He was a scientist, inventor, musician, printer, librarian, economics, and philosopher. He was born January 17th. He was born into a poor family at age 12. He became an apprentice. When he turned 17, he ran away to Philadelphia. A few months later, he sailed to London. Ben Franklin became great friends with the French. He eventually returned to Philadelphia. Ben Franklin went from poor to rich. Not really rich, but he moved up on the social scale. This is called social mobility. He also learned and taught himself how to do many things. This is called individualism. Now back to you, Essence.
Tierra, are you a Christian?
Yeah, why do you ask?
I just want to inform you about the Great Awakening, that's all.
Oh, okay.
Well, the Great Awakening was the rebirth of Christianity. This happened between 1720s and the 1750s. A man named George Whitefield was a preacher. He taught and preached Christianity to the people who lived in the colonies. Some colonists did not like this because they practiced other religions. They felt like Christianity was not right. With Christianity, George Whitefield explained that as long as you have a personal relationship with God, then you'll be okay. The church lost memberships because of this. Since they lost memberships, they lost money too. The church did not like this at all. Many people stopped going to church because they wanted to practice Christianity. It was easier to practice it, and it didn't call for all the other things the other religions called for.
People who became Christians were blacks, Native Americans, and women. The ministers traveled across colonies to spread the word of Christianity. Christianity grew and established churches lost members. Preachers said American society had become as corrupt as the English society. Because of this, new colleges were opened to train members as a rational process experience. And that's all we have for this afternoon. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for tonight. And we're coming to you live from Channel 5.
If you said B, your answer was correct. If you said your answer was A, then you're also correct. If you said your answer was A, social mobility, then you're on a roll. And lastly, the answer to the last question is A.